So we are getting to the second to last chapter in the book, which is called The Exploitation Question, and it's very self explanatory. I'm going to read a quote that's from Marvin, who's on Big Brother 5. You go from the NFL playoffs to being out with a broken leg. You call up CBS and they're going to be like, Marvin, who? It's pretty much clear that after you're off the show, CBS and the producers don't give an F about you. And that's clearly what Marvin is trying to say here. Big Brother is a positive experience for some contestants and traumatizing for others. Some behind the scenes staff have felt overworked and underpaid, yet many love their jobs and return summer after summer. All of these things can be true at the same time. There isn't a one size fits all way to describe the Big Brother experience. The moral debate around reality TV dates back to the early days of its modern era. In 1997, just a month after appearing on the Swedish edition of Survivor, Sinisa Savija tragically commits the S word that we can't say on YouTube by throwing himself in front of a commuter train. While Sue's creator Mark Burnett denies any link between Survivor and his death, Savija's family believes otherwise. Sinisa was a glad and stable person before he went away, his word recounts. When he came back, he told me they're going to make me look like a fool. This incident, according to Endemol's Paul Romer, is what prompted the Netherlands Institute of Psychologists' public opposition to Big Brother's creation in 1999. Since Savija's death, an additional 40 individuals with reality TV ties has died by the S word, and countless others have struggled to navigate life in its aftermath. The allure of Big Brother is undeniable. The promise of celebrity, the opportunity to win money, and the chance to push personal boundaries in an extraordinary setting. Yet, all too often, prospective applicants fail to grasp the full scope of the show's impact. And a part of me feels like some of this, especially with the more recent seasons, is due to the alumni not doing their research while they're in the application process or before the application process, though that obviously wasn't the case in the earlier seasons. In July 2000, Jordan, who is now non binary, very interesting, I didn't know that, is an adventurous and inquisitive young person. They have a passion for documentary films, environmental advocacy, and have traveled through Central and South America. On their 27th birthday, Jordan is banished by an overwhelming 78% of the public vote. To be rejected by an entire country, that experience, for someone who has an intense fear of abandonment, was absolutely traumatic, they reflect. Before their banishment, they became the subject of a tongue-in-cheek "Save the Stripper" campaign by David Letterman, alluding to their past employment as an exotic dancer. Despite appearing as a guest on the show, Jordan has no recollection of being there. "I was disassociating," they explained. "I was under so much stress." The sudden thrust into the national spotlight is a whirlwind. Following the series, Jordan's life takes a downward spiral. They withdraw and develop an eating disorder, secretly binging on cake and donuts. If BB1 was intense for participants, Season 2 promises to up the ante. CBS's mandate for a revamped BB2 calls for increased drama. This will, in part, be facilitated using psychological tactics like sleep and food deprivation and alcohol consumption. Additionally, story editors will increasingly use the diary room to foster paranoia and suspicion amongst the house guests. While viewers may believe they are witnessing authentic portrayals, contestants are intentionally subjugated to stressors designated to elicit extreme behaviors unlikely to occur under normal circumstances. Paranoia and suspicion, the lifeblood of Big Brother, is often orchestrated by producers through the diary room. They really live and breathe by every word you say and how you sound, says BB2 producer Joan O'Connor, highlighting how the slightest change in intonation can trigger paranoia in a contestant. It was a lot in terms of human nature. It was a hard environment to be in. She decides to not return for the third season. The diary room captures a lot of its content at emotionally charged moments. For instance, house guests are deliberately interviewed immediately after following nominations, evictions, and conflicts, catching them at their most vulnerable and raw, while some contestants, like BB2's Bunky and BB8's Amber, have faced ridicule for their frequent tears. The living environment is designed to evoke such responses. So it's interesting that in a way there is some manipulation or provocation right from the earliest seasons, though that's something that a lot of people don't really like to address. Though I feel like in those cases, they did it so they could get a better television product, while in latter seasons, they did it so they can influence certain results, especially pertaining to the game. The head of household room is an early tool for capturing emotional moments. This begins with Kent, the Regan Republic and father of two from Tennessee. Segment producer Chris Colhane recalls the instruction to conjure up tears from Kent, who is deemed not to be giving enough heartfelt content. Wow! I didn't realize they were trying to do things to manipulate certain reactions like that. Obviously, Kent in general is someone who wasn't very emotional. He was very closed off from the other house guests. And the fact that they wanted to elicit tears from him in the HOH room is just really sick, to be honest. Pictures and letters from his young daughters are placed in his room. As hoped, upon discovery, Kent breaks down, providing their desired footage. This practice becomes standard going forward, with pictures and letters routinely given to HOH winners. Alcohol becomes another tool for generating emotionally charged content. That was always a popular thing to do if you really needed a story, says Amy Chacon, Season 3 and 4 producer. Give them alcohol, leave it in the supply room. One of the most explosive fights between Season 6's Sovereign Six Alliance and the Friendship is fueled by alcohol. Producer Ryan Simpkins recalls that moment he had to use the God mic, an intercom broadcast throughout the house, to separate contestants into different rooms, fearing a physical altercation might ensue. During Big Brother 2, a disturbing incident unfolds involving Justin, a 26-year-old bartender from New Jersey, and Krista, a young waitress from Louisiana. While intoxicated and engaged in a late-night makeout session, Justin picks up a metal carpet sweeper and asks, "Would you get mad if I cracked you over the head with this?" before gesturing as if to strike her with it. He then escalates the situation by grabbing a kitchen knife, placing it against her throat. "Would you get mad if I K-word you?" he asks this time. Despite Krista not showing any obvious signs of intimidation and Justin's bombastic disposition, he is expelled from the show. Producer Tracy Green recalls watching the incident unfold from the control room. "I don't think we thought he was going to cut her, but we thought, that's not okay." In the midnight hours, Green is forced to awaken Shapiro and Gardner. Before the knife incident, another concern is flagged about Krista and Justin allegedly sharing Xanax. What the I didn't know any of this. Anyways, Xanax is a prescription drug used to treat anxiety and panic disorders. It also comes to light that Justin has a rap sheet that involves assaulting charges, and Krista experienced trauma as a young girl when her father was toe tagged by her brother. Oh, wow! I did not know that. I knew she faced a lot of trauma, but not one that involved her father and her brother. Wow. This all raises questions about the casting process. Either these things were not uncovered in the background screenings, or they are deemed insufficient to preclude Justin and Krista from the shows, both equally troublesome scenarios. Provoking extreme behavior is baked into gameplay, such as limiting Huskus' food consumption. This starts in Season 2 with the introduction of a food challenge. Players are often separated into teams. The winners receive full food privileges, while the losers are sentenced to a week-long diet of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. PB&J is later replaced by Slop, a salty oatmeal mixture. Big Brother 7's Chicken George, who signed up for 60 days on Slop in 2006, describes it in this way. "If you ever open up a bag of cement, it's all dust. That's what it looks like," he explains. "The stuff is so nasty. To this day, I cannot stand any type of oatmeal or anything." Big Brother 12's most memorable fight occurs when Rachel approaches Regan in the backyard and offers to bake him cookies, knowing he's on slop and unable to eat. They engage in a vicious tit for tat in which Regan chides Rachel's facial acne and nasty hair extensions, while she mocks him for his strained romantic and family life. At this point in the series, Regan has been eating slop for 3 consecutive weeks. He's consumed 500 calories per day, one-fifth of the suggested daily intake. Regan admits that losing his temper was, at least partially, the result of irritability from being underfed. Sleep deprivation has similar effects on its participants. It's been used in competitions like Creepy 7's Torture Test, where contestants are awakened every 15 minutes by audio submitted by viewers. Big Brother 11 introduces a more extreme have-have-not competition, where losing contestants are forced to take cold showers and sleep on spiked beds and metal slabs. Paranoia, inadequate diet, and sleep deprivation have a cumulative effect on contestants, and once the series has ceased filming, things don't always go back to normal. Big Brother 5's Marvin experiences memory loss and brain fog after the show. Reagan faces his own set of mental impairments, unable to be in a room with more than 10 people. He's prescribed an SSRI and begins cognitive behavior therapy. None of this with the help of CBS, he notes, adding that several of his fellow housemates will report similar challenges. I don't know if it's in more recent seasons or not, or which would be way after these two seasons, but it's alleged or stated that they have psychologists check on them for a year after the show. But how consistent those are and what they actually do to help these contestants is another story. Life after reality TV can be especially difficult for unpopular or divisive participants. Unkind fan behavior is as old as the series itself. A forum titled Brit is a Two-Faced Lying Biatch slash Whore is published in 2000 in reference to BB1 contestant Brittany. A decade later, comments like Die Nang are posted in 2013 about Reagan. That's 3 years after his season. So that's interesting and odd that they're still obsessed with him that though many years later. More recently, dozens of fraudulent Twitter accounts were created to impersonate would-be contestant Christy Valdesiri, who was denied participation on Big Brother 23 due to a COVID-19 infection, but this behavior goes beyond the internet. Many contestants have lost their jobs or had employment targeted by fans. In 2005, Jennifer, a 27-year-old Arena Football League dancer, is vilified for nominating and evicting a fan favorite. She is subsequently fired from her job and receives an onslaught of disturbing harassment and hate. My mom got a 10-page letter telling her how horrible she was for raising me, she recalls. I was scared to leave my house. Jennifer's father flies to Los Angeles to escort her home following the finale. He is worried that somebody might cause physical harm to his daughter. The winner of this series, Maggie, experiences similar treatment. To this day, Maggie remains a low profile, though there have been recent photos posted of her. These incidents highlight the negative impacts the show can have on contestants' real lives. And I've never been one to support this overt behavior that house guests receive by the fans, and it's really not that serious, and you shouldn't ever get that invested in a group of people who don't even know you exist. Big Brother contestants signed a robust contract, relinquishing nearly all rights to the production company and network. These contracts are dozens of pages long and inform contestants that they may be subjected to physical, psychological, and emotional strains and pressures, both during the stay as well as after their stay in the house. These contracts goes on to express that twists may be introduced that could cause anxiety, discomfort, embarrassment, anger, and/or shock. These contracts are not unique to Big Brother. For example, the real world contract denies liability should a contestant contract HIV or lose a limb. Academic literature raises questions about the degree of informed consent applicants are capable of providing before appearing on these shows like Big Brother. Informed consent occurs when somebody is made fully aware of the benefits and risks associated with participation. Contracts are often full of legal jargon that may be difficult to comprehend without legal guidance. Given many reality TV applicants are regular people just looking for their shot at TV fame, they may not have the resources or inclination to consult an attorney. A point of contention for BB12's Reagan is the continued use of his image by CBS. Despite appearing on the show almost 15 years ago, he still finds himself featured in advertising material and rebroadcasts. As a professor, he faces regular reminders about his time on reality TV from his students, such as when his infamous fight with Rachel went viral on TikTok. Every time that happens, it forces me to relive something that was really traumatic, he shares. The fact that people are making money off it, except for me, really sucks. This video on the fight, published on CBS's official YouTube channel, has raked up close to 350,000 views. This ties into a lot of the reality reckoning that was being pushed last year by a lot of the Bravo stars, where a lot of reality TV stars talked about how their image is consistently used to replace social media content and whatever, where all the executives and producers are getting paid, but the reality TV stars, who are the ones people are watching for these clips, aren't getting paid, and there's no such thing as residuals. Reagan challenges the notion that contracts out to grant network and production companies perpetual access to contestants' image. In 2010, I couldn't anticipate Paramount Plus and streaming, he pointed out. I couldn't anticipate them using this footage of me 14 years later. There are ongoing discussions in academic and legal circles about the ethics of reality TV contracts and whether courts should intervene to avoid the most invasive clauses. However, Court challenges are rare, and when they occur, plaintiffs often face an uphill battle. Yes, streaming was also a huge talking point when it came to this reality reckoning, because when most of these reality shows were filmed, so late 2010s to the early 2010s in Bravo's case, and obviously for Big Brother's case, it's the 2000s and the 2010s, no one thought that streaming would be a thing. So the fact that they had to adapt to that format, meaning a whole new group of people who didn't watch the seasons live, having to watch it through this new program, is definitely something and it brings a lot of reminders. And I've also heard similar things with Libra from Big Brother 10, who is a teacher, and Jimika from Big Brother 8, who are counselors, where they are consistently reminded about their times on the Big Brother, and they either deny it or pretend like it doesn't exist, or they don't know what they're talking about. Dr. Chu Pinsky, who served as a health and relationship expert on Big Brother 1, reflects with some misgivings about his contributions to the program. I was naive, inexperienced, and relieved when I was not brought back, he admits. Looking back, he laments the lack of support provided to contestants. One of the things I insist on these days is post care for everybody. There's got to be a budget for post care. Post care, a relatively new concept, involves ensuring mental health and other transitional supports are in place for individuals following their participation on reality TV. While post care is becoming more common, it was nearly non existent in the years of Big Brother. Contestant James reflects on the limited support offered after his two seasons in 2005 and 2006. They gave us the name and number of the Big Brother psychiatrist, he recalls. To be honest, it was completely worthless. His co star, runner up Yvette, shares a similar sentiment. After 80 days of confinement, Yvette receives a quick debrief from producers. She is told that New Orleans no longer exists, referencing the devastating caused by Hurricane Katrina. Despite feeling disoriented and unable to drive, Yvette is hastily sent on her way. CBS made incriminated steps towards improving its post-care regime. However, rival networks are light years ahead, according to BB13 winner Rachel, who recently appeared on NBC's The Traders. She reveals that NBC was incredibly proactive in its reach outs, providing a mental health debrief immediately after the series with 3 and 6 month follow ups. The Traders is filmed for 30 days. I didn't realize it was 30 days. I thought it was like 2 weeks, so that's interesting. While Big Brother is filmed for 3 months, one would expect the latter to be more, not less engaged with its participants after filming. I remember the challenge contestants like CT, Trishelle, and Bananas having similar sentiment about the traders and NBC's treatment of their contestants post season, especially compared to MTV and their treatment of their contestants. And it's even worse over there because those contestants come back season after season after season, unlike CBS. Competition reality shows are seldom a lucrative undertaking, particularly in the early 2000s. Jordan earned a meager 350 per week while filming Big Brother 1, roughly 1400 from their 30 days on the program. I make that in a 2 week paycheck. That's absurd to me. That's 0.005% of what CBS receives in profits for the summer. Such low compensation leaves many without a safety net to catch them should they have a difficulty experience and need time to collect themselves. There's an ongoing effort led by Real Housewives star Bethany Frankel to unionize reality talent. So this is what I talked about a bit earlier. Frankel advocates for reality stars to receive residuals like payment when their shows are replayed by networks and streaming platforms. However, this effort faces unique challenges when it comes to competition reality. Because, like I mentioned, this was talking about documentary reality. So, pretty much reality TV shows where the house guests are filmed in their houses and in their lives, interacting with people, and not in a competition format. Competition reality is marked by a turn and burn dynamic where new contestants are brought in every season. This contrasts shows like Real Housewives, where the same cast members typically return year after year. As a result, any effort to unionize should include provisions tailored to the needs of all reality talent. It is not only contestants who have had challenging experiences on Big Brother. In the early 2000s, the program is characterized by miserly pay and grueling work hours. Assistant story editor Scott Benton's role in Big Brother 2 involves creating beat sheets, a rundown of daily house highlights. He also manages the control room overnight. I essentially was doing two jobs and nearly driving my car off the road every day, he recalls. It was an abusive, dangerous production. Segment producer Chris Colhane echoes the sentiment. There were people having breakdowns because the hours were so crazy. Some members of the team have cots in their offices or sleep in their vehicles. Attempts to unionize are met with resistance, and those who participate are often not rehired on subsequent seasons. The people who are in charge will go through crew like they go through batteries in a flashlight, says BB2 story editor Daniel Shriver. Many crew members, including cameraman Rob Kemmich, are paid substantially below industry standards. We were considered a bunch of young misfits, he says, emphasizing that most working in reality at the turn of the century are very young. It's not just long hours and low pay. There's also an emotional toll that comes from working at Big Brother. This is evident in the final HOH of Big Brother 2, where a banner this isn't the final HOH, it was the final four, but I guess the final typical HOH because the final three in Big Brother is split in three parts. But besides the point, a banner is flown over the house. It is sent by Nicole's husband, whom is upset by her supposed flirtation with the male housemates. She sees the banner and becomes incredibly distressed. Big Brother broadcasts the scene, capitalizing on this real life drama. Chris Colhane remembers this incident clearly and says it left him questioning the ethics of his work. When you're there 12 to 24 hours a day with these people, you start to feel a little dirty, he admits, especially when there's real emotion going on. There are times where it gets you inside. You get that pit in the middle of your stomach. While the drama is integral to Big Brother's appeal, safeguards are essential for the well-being of participants, including post-care support. Applicants should receive fair compensation, and producers must ensure they aren't exposing vulnerable individuals to potentially harmful situations. Ultimately, the show's success should not come at the expense of its employees and participants' mental health. And I'm glad that they also talked about the crew members' mental health and how they are treated as well. Because I feel like a lot of people just solely focus on the contestants when there's so many other people involved in this.